Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're cutting through the noise surrounding autonomous robots. This isn't just about cool tech, it's a real world guide for any leader who's thinking about automation. We're going to break down what these AMRs, that's autonomous mobile robots, actually are, how you figure out if they're right for your business, and most importantly, how to actually use them to get the biggest bang for your buck. So, picture this. On the left, you've got a scene that's probably all too familiar. A bit of controlled chaos, right? Workers are hustling, but they're spending half their day just pushing carts around. Now look at the right. It's clean, it's quiet, it's efficient. The million-dollar question is, how do you get from that picture on the left to the one on the right? And here's a spoiler. It takes a lot more than just buying a robot. Before you even think about bringing in a single robot, you've got to do a full diagnostic of your facility. It's like this. You wouldn't build a second story on your house without making sure the foundation can handle it, would you? Of course not. Well, the very same idea applies right here on your factory floor.
Now, this is where things get really interesting, because these robots can be, well, a little picky. You need floors that are pretty flat, aisles that are wide enough, and Wi-Fi that is absolutely rock solid. But here's the detail that might surprise you. In a place like a garment factory, something as tiny as cotton lint floating in the air can actually mess with the robot's laser sensors. You really have to think about everything. A robot on its own is, just a machine. It's a fancy cart. But a robot that's plugged into your factory's digital brain, we're talking your management systems like MES or WMS, that's when it becomes a productivity beast. It can't be an information island. It needs to be able to get its orders and report back on what it's done, creating this beautiful, seamless flow of information.
Okay, so your foundation is solid, both physically and digitally. Now what? You can't just automate everything all at once. That would be chaos. The smart move is to pilot the project where it hurts the most, where it's going to solve your biggest headache first. Let's take a look at where that might be. This table lays out the quick wins perfectly. You see, in a massive warehouse with thousands of different little parts, you can have the AMRs bring the goods to the worker. Game changer. Out on the sewing floor, they can bring materials right when they're needed, so your skilled people aren't wasting time walking around. And if you've got a multi-story building, the robots can even solve that dreaded elevator bottleneck. Let's just double-click on that first idea. Goods to person. This is so simple, but so revolutionary. It completely flips the old warehouse model on its head. Instead of your workers walking for miles every single day, they just stay put. The robots do all the running around. The productivity boost from that one change alone is just massive. But listen, none of this works if the robot is just constantly bumping into things or getting lost. So how do they navigate a factory floor that's always changing, with people and pallets moving all over the place? What's the tech that makes them so smart? The magic is a technology called laser slam. The easiest way to think about it is like the robot has its own eyes and its own internal GPS, all working at once. It's constantly scanning and mapping everything around it, so you don't need to put ugly magnetic tape or QR codes all over your floor. If somebody moves a cart, the robot just sees it and goes around. It's built for dynamic, real-world spaces. And this is absolutely crucial. These AMRs don't just stop dead in their tracks when something's in the way. As you see here, they detect the obstacle, they instantly recalculate a new route, and they just keep going. This smart rerouting is what keeps the whole workflow humming along without somebody having to constantly run over and fix things. Okay, this is where it starts to feel like the future. The robot doesn't just wait for an elevator. It actually talks to the elevator. It sends a digital signal, calls the elevator, the doors open, it rolls right in, tells it which floor to go to, and then rolls out to get back to work. This isn't science fiction. Companies like Qpie are doing this right now. So the tech is obviously very cool, but why does it actually matter to a business? Well, it matters because it directly solves the real, painful problems that keep managers up at night. We're talking everything from labor shortages to the crazy pressure to get products out the door faster and faster. Just look at the fashion world, for example. The whole business model has flipped from making huge batches of the same thing to this small batch, fast return world. An old-school, rigid production line just breaks under that kind of pressure. But flexible AMRs, they're perfect for this. You can change their routes and missions with a few clicks in a software program. 225%. Just let that number sink in for a minute. What on earth could that represent?
Well, that's the jump in efficiency that a real garment factory saw when they swapped out manual carts for an automated system. That's not a small improvement. That is a complete and total transformation of how they operate. Okay, here's another number for you: 96%. What does a number like that tell us?
That number tells us these robots are absolute workhorses. A 96% usage rate means they're running pretty much constantly. They're not some expensive gadget that sits in a corner collecting dust. They are a core, reliable part of the daily workflow. And all of this brings us to the final and, let's be honest, the most important question for anyone making a decision like this. What about the bottom line? Is this whole thing actually worth the money?
Less than 2 years. From a purely financial perspective, that's the number that really turns heads. That's the typical payback period. It means that for a lot of these companies, the investment in AMRs pays for itself in under 2 years. You get that incredible ROI from a mix of saving on labor and from those huge efficiency gains we just talked about. This shows it's not a fad. It's a really sound strategic move.
Look, if you only take one single thing away from all of this, let it be this piece of advice. Don't start by asking, how many robots should I buy? Start by deeply understanding your own factory's problems. Figure out your bottlenecks, your pain points. First, diagnose. Then you can prescribe the right solution.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. As these super efficient robots take over more and more of the manual, repetitive jobs, what's the next step for the human workforce? What new skills are we going to need to learn to manage, maintain, and work right alongside our new robot colleagues? That's something we're all going to be figuring out together very soon.